coming. I guess I know about every one of you, and I appreciate you covering this for us. I'd like to at first introduce some folks that I'm going to ask in just a moment to make some comments concerning the events yesterday, and quite frankly the events that have been going on for several months in terms of the investigation. First of all, I'd like to introduce the guy that is actually running an agency that assists us greatly with many things, and of course assisted us with this operation yesterday and is always there for us, Lieutenant Jeff Von Holland. Where did he disappear? He is here. I'd like to introduce someone who will be giving the briefing, and that's going to be the commander of the 22nd Judicial Drug Task Force, Mark Odom. He will be briefing you in a moment concerning the specifics of the operation. Of course, the Sheriff of Covington County, Sheriff Dennis Meeks over here. Dennis, again, supported us in this operation in several different ways, and it would be hard to accomplish anything without his support. We appreciate what the Sheriff and his department does for us. And then, of course, Mayor John Bartholomew, and the Mayor has given us our marching orders, which we're trying to accomplish, and this was one aspect of what we needed to do to accomplish what we did. As everybody in here is aware, you watch the news, our nation has a severe drug problem. Our state, the state of Alabama, has a severe drug problem, and that drug problem translates into Covington County and the city of Opp and the other cities that are within Covington County. And what we've tried to do is, in conjunction with the Drug Task Force and the DA's office, we have tried to become involved proactively in stemming that drug problem. Our DA, Mr. Walt, Maryland Walt, we're going to ask you for some comments in a moment if you would, has to basically provide us what we need to make sure we make good cases, and then whatever the agency accomplishes is turned over to him for prosecution. And so with their help, we hope we make it a little bit better for our citizens. I want to certainly publicly commend the Drug Task Force for this operation. It was professionally conducted. I want to commend the ABC agents for what they did. Without them, I'm not sure we could have gotten it all done. So we have agencies working together here. We think that's critical to accomplish the common good, and that's the approach that we take. Right now, if I could, Mayor, would you like to make some general comments concerning things?
Thanks, Mike. As you know, the illegal use of drugs is a problem that we have that adversely affects the United States, the state of Alabama, and our county far too many years. It is imperative that we continue these law enforcement efforts that will identify the arrest of those individuals that sell illegal drugs off the profit, off the miseries of people. Further, it's also imperative that we educate the public the dangers of the drug abuse and the problems, and provide rehabilitative services to those who earnestly want to rejoin the society as a member. I appreciate, and I mean this, I appreciate the professional operation that the 22nd Judicial Drug Task Force agents conducted here in Opp. They did an outstanding job. The results are indicative of the success that can be achieved when law enforcement agencies work together as one in order to produce and protect the citizens that are sworn to serve. So I want to thank them again for the great job they did, that they swore to serve the public. Thank you again.
Mr. Merrill?
Well, I just will be brief. I think this press conference really ought to be about two things. One is the fantastic job done by not only the Drug Task Force agents and the ABC agents, but also everybody else who played a supportive role in the operation. You know, something like this is not easily put together. It takes time, it takes man hours, it takes coordination, it takes logistics, and there's a whole lot more that goes into this than just buying drugs and arresting folks. The planning behind an operation of this scale is significant, and Commander Odom and the other, and the lieutenant from the ABC board, those guys really deserve a good pat on the back for pulling it all together. I also would say two things. One is this needs to be a message that, you know, the Drug Task Force is serious about the job at hand. And if this level of arrest, this number of arrests didn't send that message, then to the folks that are out there doing wrong and doing what they shouldn't be doing, well, they're just not paying attention. And two is, if you didn't get arrested yesterday, if you continue to break the law, I have confidence that these men and lady will absolutely make sure that your time has come.
Thank you. Walt? Sheriff?
Thank you, Mike. As Sheriff of Covington County and Chairman of the 22nd Judicial Drug Task Force, really I'd just like to echo what has already been said this morning. Just really commend the Drug Task Force and the ABC Board for working together, and all the other agencies that work together to come together that has pulled these numbers and these arrests here in the city of Ogg. Really want to commend Chief McDonald for his guys that helped out in this, and also Mayor Bartholomew. He has he really just kind of steps back and says, guys, y'all go and do what you need to do. So we really like to thank Mayor Bartholomew for that. As Lieutenant Odom comes up and speaks to you and gives you some details about what happened yesterday, I think you're going to hear some numbers that have over the last year that is going to really be shocking to you, and it's going to be some numbers that we're proud of. And again, as District Attorney Merrill mentioned, to the people who have not been arrested yet and who are still doing drugs in Ogg and doing drugs in Covington County, selling, buying. If you continue to do this, we will come get you. You will wind up in jail. We just want to make that loud and clear so that everybody will have no mistake about what we're talking about and how serious the Drug Task Force is. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, again, I want to emphasize this is a Drug Task Force operation. We can't do it without the support we get from our DA. We can't do it without the support that we get from ABC. It was a joint operation. We feel like, you know, we can't do it without the support we get from the Sheriff's Department. It's just incredible that we work as a team, and we're not going to have the results that we obtain if we don't work as a team, and it has been a very good team effort. At this time, I'd like to introduce Commander Mark Odom with the Drug Task Force, and he will brief you on the details of the operation.
Yesterday, the Drug Task Force wrapped up a 3-month-long operation in obtaining multiple warrants. A total of 14 arrests have been made so far, and more are forthcoming. During the course of the operation, the DTF worked with various confidential informants as well as undercover police officers. This operation was a collaborative effort between the District 8 Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board and the 22nd Judicial Circuit Drug Task Force. Other agencies assisting in the operation were the Ogg Police Department, Florilla Police Department, the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, the Covington County Sheriff's Office, and the Covington County District Attorney's Office. Those arrested yesterday include Jacob Blue, distribution of controlled substance, possession of marijuana second, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Julia Donaldson, distribution of controlled substance. Sean Coleman, 2 counts of distribution of controlled substance. Kevin Lawrence, distribution of controlled substance. Janet Blue, distribution of controlled substance. Cassandra Lee, distribution of controlled substance. Jamie Stademeyer, distribution of controlled substance. Leteron Brown, 2 counts of distribution of controlled substance, possession of controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. John Womack, distribution of controlled substance. possession of controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Gerald Wade, possession of marijuana second, possession of drug paraphernalia. Christopher Ryan, possession of marijuana second, possession of drug paraphernalia. Kier Milton, distribution of controlled substance. Danny Wombles, possession of marijuana second, possession of drug paraphernalia. Derek Wombles, possession of marijuana second, and possession of drug paraphernalia. The DTF remains committed to the eradication of the blight caused by drugs from Covington County. Within the past year, we have arrested 242 individuals and have removed approximately 48 pounds of illegal narcotics from our community, including the largest synthetic drug seizure as well as the largest cultivated marijuana growth in Drug Task Force history. We also have seized 5 vehicles, 1 parcel of real property, and thousands of dollars in U.S. currency related to narcotic activity. 242 drug cases were prosecuted in the District Attorney's Office. Of those, 121 individuals went to prison, 42 entered in the drug court program, and 79 were placed on probation. Fiscal year 2012 has been a banner year, and we have no inclination of slowing down. I want to especially thank the agents of the Drug Task Force for their tireless dedication to the community. Also, I want to thank the Drug Task Force Board of Directors. To the people of Covington County, know that we will not rest until our work is done. And to the drug dealers who prey on our people, know that we will come for you.
Anyone have any questions?
I have 3. Can you tell us what kind of items that you got them for distributing? What kind of controlled substances?
We had marijuana, prescription pills, crack cocaine, powder cocaine, all the types.
Were there any specific areas where the majority of these people were arrested?
This operation took place more or less in the eastern and southeastern part of the county.
And lastly, how many of these people arrested have previous drug convictions?
Several of them. Right offhand, I don't know, but several of them do.
Were there any resistance and any injuries occurred by either officers and/or suspects?
No, sir.
The war on drugs, some people say it can't be won. Are you seeing that perhaps there can be progress? I don't know if it's longer prison terms or rehabilitation, but is it a user problem or is it a society problem?
That's probably a better question for Walt.
You know, in other words, I mean, you feel like a lot of these people have probably been frequent flyers, as y'all say. I mean, is it making a dent as far as cutting down on the supply on the street?
It is, but when we take one off the street, there's another one that takes its place. So, I mean, it's more of a society problem.
How frustrating is that? I'm sure some of these are familiar with you.
Yeah, I think Greg just said 11 of them are repeat offenders. So yeah, it does get frustrating. You see the same faces over and over again.
So they were violated on probation or anything like that? I mean, these are people that were actually brought through the system, released, and back into society again, these 11?
Yes.
Are any of these people arrested considered major drug players now?
There's all level of ones. I mean, there's some that, yes, that are major drug. This did put a significant dent in the drug problem and all.
How big of a problem is still left? You guys made 15 arrests. I mean, you said there's always somebody to take their place.
Oh, there's still a large drug problem within this county, not only in Iowa, but in the rest of our county.
It's everywhere, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe this arrest will cause more arrests? I mean, will some of these start talking?
I believe it will, yes, sir. And like I say, there's more arrests forthcoming from this operation.
From this operation?
Yes, sir.
Is this stuff coming in from the outside, or is it being manufactured locally? I mean, is it coming in from Mexico or other areas?
It's coming in from outside. We've heard some of it coming in from Atlanta and Birmingham and several different places.
since SOP is at the crossroads, you think that plays a part?
Yes.
And can you explain that?
There's major roadways from here to the beach, I mean, going through here to the beach, 331 and stuff like that. And anytime that you have the major roadways like that, and the major thoroughfares, you have, no problem.
Were there any children or weapons involved in this?
There were no children or weapons yesterday. Well, there were, we did have, one firearm seized yesterday, and, there were no children at the residence we went to yesterday.
And you guys have been working on this for 3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
That residence, will you seize it?
The one yesterday?
Yes.
That's something we'll have to talk with the district attorney's office about. We don't know, how much, if there's lien on the residence or anything like that, we don't know.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mark. Again, please understand, this was not a police department operation. It was not solely a drug task force operation. We depend on ABC, we depend on the sheriff's office, and we depend on the advice and the prosecution from the DA's office. This is a multi-layered operation, and as Commander Odom stated, it is a complex operation, and we appreciate very much the assistance that we've received. We couldn't have asked for any better assistance, and now we look forward to the active prosecution of these people. And of course, I would charge the Drug Task Force with the task of going out there and continuing the prosecution of those that do sell drugs. I thank the members of the media for the time they took to come here, and we look forward to seeing you again, hopefully with some happier circumstances. And if there are no further questions, we'll close now. Thank you again.
Hey, Chief, what kind of message does this send to the community, you feel?
We hope it sends the message that we are alive and well, and we're out doing our job, and you're not necessarily going to know when we're doing our job until some nice young man with a badge comes to see you. Is the message we hope it sends to the people that sell.
And my only other question, this might be for the DA, how long will any of these people, what kind of time could they serve?
Mr. Merrill, would you like to address the potential disposition of the cases?
I mean, he said, is it 11 they're familiar with, that's been through this before? I mean, how long is that a frustrating part for you, that these guys, you go through the process and then you come back and they're back and you see them again? I mean,
I don't think I would characterize it as frustrating. It's just part of the job. Drug addiction is not something that there is a wave the magic wand cure for. It's something that takes time and effort and willpower on the part of the addict, and support on the part of the addict's family and church family and support network. And so the fact that we see drug offenders get arrested more than once is not frustrating. It just lets us know that, number one, our law enforcement's doing a good job keeping tabs on what's going on, and it's part of the process. Now, as far as repeat offenses, let's don't overlook the fact there's a difference between a drug addict and a drug dealer. I will not talk specifically about any individual, but I will say, by the way, the law requires me to say that all of these individuals are presumed innocent until they're found guilty by a court of law. I will say this, that we deal very swiftly and strongly with drug dealers in Covington County. I suspect that we have an incredibly small amount of drug dealers who have not gone to prison after conviction in this county. And by incredibly small, I think I could count them on one hand. Any of these folks that have sold drugs and are convicted, we will ask for the same type of sentencing we always have. We think that the appropriate punishment, the appropriate sanction for selling drugs, the appropriate sanction for being a predator, for taking advantage of the weak and the young and the afflicted, is to put them in prison. And that's our philosophy. It's just that simple, and that's how we approach it. Drug addicts, we take a little bit different approach with it. Our hope, our aim, our goal there is to rid them of their addiction. And so we instill measures in our plea process that include mandatory rehabilitation, mandatory self-help, and mandatory development of support networks. And so any of these folks that fall into that category, if they don't have multiple offenses on their record, that's how I would expect they would be treated. If they do have multiple offenses, or if we've tried to help them in the past, you know, every time an addict messes up, the accountability has to be stepped up as well. And so, you know, if some of these folks have messed up a time or two before and their addiction is still overwhelming them, then we're going to ramp up our efforts to kind of meet their needs.
Mr. Merrill, you say that some have been helped, okay, and with your agency, which we know that's true. And several of them I'm looking at over there are multiple offenders over the past just several years that I'm aware of. If they were helped in the beginning with this process of trying to get them help and all that, and their offense was considered, you know, a major offense at the time, will that still count toward the 3 strikes if this is their 3rd strike?
Sure, anytime that you have, in Alabama, if you're convicted of a felony, then the Habitual Offender Act requires a mandatory increase in your range of punishment for successive offenses. And I would add this, that, you know, as I said earlier, we don't offer the same kind of sentencing structure, you know, through plea negotiations to a drug dealer that we do to a drug addict. And that would include drug manufacturers as well. I mean, anybody who's manufacturing methamphetamine, you know, they fall in the category of a drug dealer in our eyes. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Sheriff, any further comments?
I'm good.
Mr. Mayor? All right, again, thank you all for coming. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to make the trip here, and this will close the press conference.